I'm like, what's going on? And they say, I don't know what's up. So I went over to her, and she was like, why? Why?
And went and got it later.
Went and got what later?
The deer.
What'd you do with it?
Ate it.
For this list, we'll be looking at the most notable times where the judge, litigants, or someone else in the courtroom served hilarity. Which Judge Judy case always makes you laugh? Let us know in the comments. Number 10. An offensive coat of paint. Most of us would like to have an amicable relationship with our neighbours, but unfortunately the feeling isn't always mutual.
So he painted the fence that only the side that faced his property, a fence that you put in the contract he was to pay for half of.
That certainly feels like the case here, where the plaintiff is suing the defendant over a painted fence. Let's just reiterate that the side of the fence in question doesn't even face the plaintiff's home.
So now you come home and you see that he has painted the fence that faces his property a color that you didn't like.
So, in essence, he's suing because he doesn't like the colour. Things take a sharp turn as the litigant goes on to weave a tale about name-calling and soda can throwing that soon wears away at the judge's last nerve. The whole case is so ridiculous you can't help but laugh.
He picks up a Pepsi can and throws it at me, and I swerved where he couldn't hit me with it. When I swerved, he still hit me in the chest.
Number 9. The extra who's too extra. It's not often that Judge Judy's audience steals the spotlight, but that's exactly what happens here.
Because you don't want to eat that food.
That's life.
No, it's not my life, not her life, it's not Bird's life.
If you've ever been to a television recording, you'll know that there are specific rules you must follow. Sit quietly and politely, react appropriately in all the right places, and don't draw attention away from the action.
Out. Did you hear what I said? You know who I'm looking at. You got my eyes?
Well, the judge clearly thinks this audience member is in breach of that when she decides to kick him out of her courtroom. The guy's visibly shocked, or perhaps he's just feigning ignorance. Either way, his reaction is hilarious.
Blue, black, out. Out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but be you. Out. Just go. Say nothing.
Let this be a lesson to us all. You don't have to be a litigant to catch the ire of this judge. Number 8. Roadkill stew, anyone? In this case, an unfortunate deer encounter comes between two sisters. The defendant accidentally hits the poor animal with her sister's car and won't pay for damages because she thinks her siblings should have had better insurance.
She wanted to go to the store. There was an accident. It was unavoidable. She hit a deer, damaged the car, and her defense is you should have had better insurance. Is that your defense?
Yes, that really is her defense. But it's only the second most laughable moment. If you hit an animal, what would seem like the most reasonable solution to you? Turn it into a meal? Yeah, we wouldn't do that either.
No, I put pine straw over it and took
put
the
what?
antler and went and got it later.
Went and got what later?
The deer.
What'd you do with it?
Ate it.
But that's exactly what she did. And she even seems offended that her sister turned down the dinner invite.
And she even offered me some, but I'm not having rigor mortis stew. But
It did not have rigor mortis, so I went back.
How does the judge keep a poker face throughout this exchange? This is courtroom comedy at its finest. Number 7. Salad with a side of vandalism? We've all felt that disappointment when our takeout finally arrives and something's missing. We might inform the restaurant or even let it slide if it's a one-time situation. But how many of us would demand a full refund over a missing salad dressing? This plaintiff did.
He said he wasn't going to give me full credit, and I said I would like full credit for $12. I couldn't eat anything.
You couldn't eat the sandwich?
Not by that time, because we normally put the salad dressing on the sandwich, too.
To make matters worse, he ordered again 2 weeks later and slammed the door in the delivery man's face, claiming he had credit.
About 2 weeks later, I ordered the same meal, and when the guy driver got there, I said, we have a credit, and I shut the door.
Very grown up of you.
Yeah.
You think that was right?
Come see, come saw.
As pathetic as he is, the law still decrees that it doesn't give the defendants a free pass to vandalize his home. But although he wins his case, the judge deducts the cost of the meal from his claim in a deliciously satisfying and hilariously calculated ruling.
$229.23 less 12. 217-23. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Number 6. A theatrical recounting. If you're a loyal Judge Judy viewer, you'll know that she wants the facts, just the facts, and nothing but the facts.
Melissa was incapable of doing her work. She was smoking and drinking. Her action became so bizarre, it was hilarious at times, dangerous at times.
If someone tries to embellish their story, she usually shuts them down instantly. In this case, the defendant explains to the judge why he had to let the plaintiff, a former employee, go.
On Saturday the 24th of January, I got on set and I was like, yo, you need to go talk to Melissa. I'm like, what's going on? And they say, I don't know what's up.
He claims that she often couldn't do her work due to being under the influence of various substances. However, the undeniable highlight is his impression of the apparently intoxicated past staff member.
So I went over to her and she was like, why? Why? And
I got it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Amazingly, the judge doesn't get mad, although how she keeps a straight face is beyond us. We were chortling as hard as the witness. Number 5. What a doorknob. Mouthing off to Judge Judy Scheindlin is a surefire way to get yourself kicked out of the courtroom.
Because he has a big mouth, I'm awarding you a judgment against him for $450. Now you can take your blue shirt and go outside, and I'll deal with the rest of them.
That's funny.
Still, after one defendant gets sent out for doing just that, another decides to pile on with a threatening message aimed at Scheindlin. She has him removed too, but he decides to try and get in the last word with a smart-mouth jibe about her qualifications.
That's why you have to have a test for guns.
That's what I have there with.
Maybe she had
Well,
to test to be
I
a
have to
judge.
tell you something.
Sir, have you heard of the Bar Association? Also, his words might have had more impact if he understood the difference between pull and push. After finally mastering opening the door, he tries one final comeback, only to be drowned out by the sound of the audience's laughter.
Push.
Out.
Take your test to be a judge.
Number 4. Judge Judy learns about Grindr. Who among us doesn't know the anguish of explaining social media to the older generation?
It's actually called Grindr. Grindr, it's an app for your phone or your iPad. It's a social app that tells you where homosexual males are.
When the defendant tells the judge that he met the plaintiff on Grindr, she responds with a blank stare. So, he continues to detail the purpose of the app, and it quickly becomes clear that he wasn't browsing online to make a new friend.
So if what you said is you wanted to make friends, one would think that you wanted to make friends with a contemporary of yours, rather than somebody older with money.
Considering that she'd apparently never even heard of Grindr before now, it's amazing how quickly the judge grasps the situation. She even schools the 23-year-old defendant about how one might use an app to widen their social circles.
If I were looking just to make friends, I wouldn't go on a website that said, you know, it's just for little old Jewish ladies. I would try to expand my horizons a little bit.
He's no match for Judge Judy's sharp tongue or wicked sense of humour. Number 3. Adult business. When Judge Judy asks the litigant to explain her adult novelty business, this clearly wasn't the answer she expected.
We go into homes and hold parties for adults with lotions and potions and vibrators.
That kind of adult party.
Yes.
The plaintiff is suing the defendant for missing or damaged items and reads out the list of affected products, many of which have very on-the-nose names. The judge doesn't need to utter a word. Her face hilariously speaks volumes.
The Bull Whip, one of a set of 2 C-rings, 10 catalogs, Making Love oil, flavors strawberry and champagne, order forms, the Diving Dolphin, Good Head.
By the end, she has her head in her hands, clearly wishing she hadn't asked for so many details. Even by Judge Judy's standards, this is a little more eccentric than a typical day in the courtroom. But it's television gold.
There were also some of the bags that were missing, and erasers, which we use as tasters at our shows. The Eager Beaver, which appeared to be used.
Still, something tells us that Scheindlin won't be calling on the plaintiff's services anytime soon. Number 2. Dumb and Dumber. When litigants enter a courtroom, they have just one job: convince the judge to side with them. And we don't know who needs to hear this, but backing up your opponent's account isn't going to get you there.
Like what? Give me what was stolen.
My wallet.
What was in your wallet?
It was $50.
Okay?
I had to replace all my IDs. I had gift cards in there, my earpiece.
In this case, the plaintiff reads out a list of possessions she claims the defendant stole from her. Only one of the defendants pipes up to politely inform the judge that there was no earpiece among the items he allegedly didn't steal.
There was no earpiece in her mouth.
I love it. It's not often the judge cracks up, but what else can you do when faced with such stupidity? It might have been one of the quickest cases, but it's also one of the funniest.
Judging for the plaintiff for the amount of $500. That's what I think it's worth, madam. Goodbye.
Number 1. The Tupperware Lady. Karina Roy has become somewhat of a household name among Judge Judy fans. Roy seemingly mistook the courtroom as a stage for her one-woman show when she recounted her side of the story.
She didn't throw all of her Tupperware on you.
Yes, she did. Yes,
How did
she did.
Miss Roy, you're standing there, so was what you told me she took out each piece of Tupperware from the cupboard and threw it at you?
Her tone is so melodramatic, and every detail is accompanied by an emphatic arm movement. And you know what's got her so riled up? It's Tupperware. Who knew something so mundane could be so contentious?
And she said, "There's your answer, Karina. Look in that cupboard there. Look in that one." And I go over there, and I open it up, and it's kind of on the ground, so I kneel down, and there's my Tupperware, and I grab it.
Watching her dramatic performance is undeniably hysterical, although the judge doesn't seem to think so. Do they give out awards for the most comically ridiculous theatrical displays? If so, we know exactly who we'd nominate.
She's leaning her whole body into me, pointing her finger in my face. "How dare you? Don't you even dare! Shame on you! That's it! I want you out of here!" And she hit my head with her fingers.
Talk about making the most of your 15 minutes of fame.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम जी, ये स्कूल है GGPS बस्ती खिदमतीन रोजहान। तो मैं इस स्कूल तकरीबन कोई 11 बजे पहुंच रहा हूं, तो ये स्कूल को लॉक लगा हुआ है।